Okay, welcome to the Crow Discovery Project. I want to go over a couple things here before I get into the moon objects and the chemtrails. First off, another individual has filmed the lunar wave. That brings the total of people who are not me, including the German footage, to 4 people. This last individual, I don't think they were aware they filmed it, as has been the case with 2 of the other individuals that filmed this. I have asked permission to run the clips so I can get them all in one clip. I have permission from 2 of the individuals. I am waiting to hear from the third. This is the real thing. At any rate, I injured my leg, and when I did the last edit, I was having real trouble sitting down to finish the edit, so I want to cover a couple things. To be clear, and by the way, this is the footage that is in every textbook on Earth as an Apollo snapshot of the Earth and Moon from space, as is the following image. These images are cartoons. This one is an emitted composite. These are not real images, and yet these are what the whole entire world has been presented with, and this image has been used over and over endlessly. Why? Why do we get constant cartoons from NASA? We live in the age of high-definition graphics, and this next image, I'll prove it. I took this from my backyard with no budget. Look at this image. There is no reason that our space agencies should not be providing us with just the cleanest, crispest, high-definition video and images of the Earth from space, of the moon from space, of other planets from space, and we don't get them. And if you research them, you will find that they're admitted fakes. They're composites and mosaics and all these other words to use. Anyhow, this footage should pretty much cap it off. This is the Juno spacecraft, and it took footage of, here you go. I mean, look at this. That's supposed to be the Earth and the Moon, and you should understand that the names of things matter. Juno, which is the name of this spacecraft supposedly, is an ancient Roman goddess that is the protector and special counselor of the state, and to top it off, she is a daughter of Saturn. And whenever you hear authority, government, space agencies referencing Saturn, you should know that shenanigans are afoot, because these are Saturnian people, and that's all there is to it. But look at this image of the Earth. I mean, come on, really? That's what passes for the Earth and the Moon in space? I just showed you what I can do in my backyard with zero budget, you know, a moderate-sized telescope and a DSLR camera, and this is just simply an insult. This is not real imagery. These are cartoons. These were made by an animation program, basically. And if you go to Wiki Commons and you look up the Earth from space, you will see what I'm talking about. And if you look up the source of the images and the story behind them and critically think about what you're being presented with, it'll be pretty clear pretty quickly that there are no real images of Earth from space. Even the satellite images, you will notice as the Earth spins below the satellites that as they approach a gap in clouds, anyone who's ever been in art class knows that as you get closer to something, the distance between the gaps in the clouds should increase, and this doesn't happen. These are faked images, and that is all there is to it. And again, the Chinese just got caught passing off pool footage as astronauts in space because there were bubbles all over the place. And if I lied to you on this channel and I faked, this is from the Rosetta, which I did a clip on recently. This is supposed to be a snapshot of moonrise over the Earth. Low resolution, black and white, come on. But if I lied to you and ran fake footage, I would be labeled a shill or a faker. So why do we allow NASA to get away with it? At any rate, let's look at some actual research that I did that's designed to actually learn something and then not hide what is learned, not obscure it. Here we go. Okay, so let's start by looking at a new tool. This is my telephoto lens, and this building is 1,000 meters, just over half a mile away. So what I did is I got a doubler for my telephoto, and here's what the doubler can do. That's with the doubler on, and you can see that at half a mile, it's actually over, I think it's 0.6 miles, you can really get in on things. And this is a big deal with the chem planes, because many of these chem planes are 40 to 60,000 feet up, according to flight radar. So here's an example of a plane that I shot with just the telephoto. You can barely detect, it's not quite in focus, but anyways, you can barely detect that there's a plane there. And even in binoculars, it just looks like trails are coming out of thin air. But with the doubler, and this plane was over 40,000 feet right here, and you can tell by the color why it's so difficult to see. I know many people say these are fake planes and holograms and all kinds of stuff, but I am still shooting them nonstop to try to get evidence of anything like that, and I have yet to succeed at that. But at any rate, here's what the doubler can do. So I've been shooting the chem planes. They're leaving persistent trails again, and I caught this. I didn't realize it was there until I got into the editing room, and this was with the doubler. So you can see just a little tiny orb way the heck up there, just above the second chemtrail. It'll be near the middle of frame. You can see there was an orb. That's too bad I couldn't see. With the camera, you're looking in that LCD, and it's very difficult to spot anything this small. If I'd have known he was there, I would have went back and filmed him a while. But here's some live footage coming in from the upper left middle. There it went. Actually, I'm going to slow him down here. Upper left middle, you're going to see an orb or something fly into the chemtrail right there. And I'll do it one more time, a bit slower, a bit more zoomed in. Pardon all the crap on my sensor. I tried to clean it. That was my first attempt. I got better at it, needless to say. And so here's moon objects that I shot on the 4th, and these are satellites. You'll see an arrow come up. You got to be quick on the first one. The second time I'll slow it down to about 30%. Follow the arrow, and here he comes slowed down. The movement that makes it look like a bird there is my tracking. If you look at the original, you can tell they're going in a straight line. There goes Holland Butt across, and here he is slowed down from the left. Now I'm starting to learn stuff. I'll just let these satellites run. These satellites are see-through, and it has always baffled me that if these things are low Earth orbit, 400 miles up, how come they're see-through? Speed blur shouldn't matter at that distance. And the conclusion I'm coming to is that they're not as high as we think they are, and they are going very quickly, and that's why they look this way. That was 3 objects, and here I've slowed it down. I wasn't sure if that was some kind of flying animal, but it looked close enough to the thing that I posted a while ago that I could prove with satellites in formation that I figured I'd include it. But what I was saying is this is a typical look for satellites, and occasionally they have a little less see-through look. You can kind of see the solar panel wings on them. I think that they're a lot closer than we've been told, and that what we see here, this blurry see-through look, is because they're traveling so quickly. And since I know what the pixel value on my camera is, quite often if we accept the distances we're given, these objects are way too big. So I'm starting to dial in. That was a bird, by the way, and I included it so that you could see that it was see-through. A user sent me this image. Look off to the right there, and he's just starting up, and I wanted to include this to show that everybody has the ability to contribute to what we know here. This image, once it was overexposed like this and brightened up, you could see there's this thing kind of off the limb of the moon. So I took it and I did some enhancement work on it, and this is what I came up with, and I mailed it back to AJS. And what you can see when it zooms in here is that on the right, where I've done the fine edges and really dialed it in, there's kind of an angular thing in the center there. It's a very interesting image. My main point being that anyone, even with a small scope, has the ability to do this if you can film, and it adds to what we know. So let's talk a minute about satellites. When I did the Huffington Post article, and all the FBI agents and everything came out of the woodwork to kind of do a hit piece on my video, what I came to understand was that if you use the pixel measurement, and there are 2 pixel measurements for my camera, at full resolution with a still, a pixel value is one thing, and at 1080 video, it's another value. If you use those pixel values on these things that we're filming, many of them are just way too big. And it's hard for me to believe that these things are 2-3 times the size of the space shuttle. Some of these black objects that are not very fast, that look like they have a magnetic halo. I don't buy into this thing's 3 times the space shuttle. I just don't. There's no way that it's that far away from me. And I think what's going on here is that many of these satellites are in very low Earth orbit, and they're just traveling so fast. That's why they get the see-through look. And then these other ones that are slower are something else altogether. They don't look like satellites. They don't look like anything we've been shown, and they almost always have that halo. And that halo shows up in the original file. That is not a product of encoding. When I look at it on the monitor as I'm filming, before the file is even encoded, I see the halo. I think what we're seeing here is evidence that I'm almost settled on, that we do not leave low Earth orbit. Nothing we make leaves low Earth orbit. And that's kind of the conclusion that I'm coming to, and I'm really seeking as hard as I can to get some kind of information or visual data or anything that will let me make a concrete statement that says that. But I am leaning to that nothing gets off this planet above low Earth orbit. And that brings us to NASA. You know, each time I say stuff about NASA, people come and they're very upset that I would say that I don't believe them. But the truth is this. NASA's main mission is not to inform us of anything. It's the opposite of that. NASA's main mission is to ensure that we know very little, next to nothing, about what is in space. And they get away with it because we really don't have much recourse. Short of people in their backyards with telescopes and reviewing their footage meticulously, you know, what we get is what they say. But every time I look at what they're offering, it comes up to fraud. And the Chinese are no different. None of the space agencies are different. So moving forward, and this last clip I made when my leg was injured, I didn't make it clear enough. I don't buy into the radiation belts. I don't buy into any of the data. The purpose of that clip was to use the data to show that if you scrutinize their own data, immediately there's problems and you poke holes in it. So for the record, NASA's mission is not science. NASA's mission is not to inform the masses. NASA's mission is to cover up the reality of space. And that's where I'm at. So there it is. Cheers.